Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Thursday. So today you join us, we are in Vintage Thursday HQ and we do have the TEF behind us, but we're having a couple of weeks away from that. I've got two jobs I want to get done before we set to properly into that. So the first job is going to be, as you can tell from the title of this video, we are going to have a go at refurbishing a Massey Ferguson link arm leveling box, which is what we have here. So this is the leveling box off of the 35X. So I took this off back in September because I was taking the tractor to a ploughing match, and during the course of a ploughing match, this piece is one of the most important bits for helping get your plough set level, and there's a lot of handle winding going on during the course of ploughing your plot. So the reason for taking this off, there is a problem inside of here. It was easy to find or easy to see what the problem was when it was on the tractor. It's not so easy now it's off, but we're going to have a go. So what I'm going to try and do is simulate this on a tractor. Okay, so we've got it vertical again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of pressure, upwards pressure on the pins. Okay, so this bit is where the pins go through. And the problem was it wasn't turning smoothly, so I'm going to try and replicate that if I can. Okay, so what we're going to do, we are going to lift upwards to simulate the fact that this is on a tractor and there's a little bit of weight on the arm, which will be down here. And what it wasn't doing, it wasn't turning smoothly a full revolution. Now, it is quite hard to recreate that. Now I've taken it apart or taken it off the tractor. So I think you're going to have to believe me there. But also, so what it was doing, it was getting to a certain point and becoming stiff when there was weight on the arm. I can't recreate it now, but you might just see in the video, we've got a lot of movement up and down on this shaft here, and there's also quite a bit side to side in here. So that's what we've got to investigate and cure. So the makeup of these is quite basic. We have an internally threaded casting here, which sits onto the link arm with a bolt through. And we have an externally threaded rod here, which obviously goes inside of here, and the little gearbox on top. And inside of here, there is a gear on forming the top part of this shaft. There's a gear on there. Obviously, we've got the handle to do the winding, and then this bit here, the back edge of it, is the second half of the gear that meshes with the vertical gear, if all that makes sense. And then the handle goes through and drives the whole lot. I hope you're keeping up with this. So what we have to do, there is a rivet through this end piece. So what we need to do, we need to take the end off of that rivet. I'm probably going to drill the end off and then tap the rivet out. And then this piece will come out that way with a gear, half the gear on it. And then the handle will pull out this way. And in the top is a core plug in there, and that should just tap out. Okay, so the core plug will pop out, this shaft will come out. We'll have to unscrew this is the first thing. So not a great deal keeping them together. And what I'm hoping to find in the bottom of here, inside, running between the top of this shaft and the base of the gearbox, there is a bearing. So I'm hoping the bearing is gone, and that is what is allowing so much play in there. So I'm hoping for a nice, quick, cheap, easy repair, but as we all know, that doesn't always happen. So here goes. We are set up in the milling machine. I think we're centered up on the rivet. Maybe. So all we're looking to do is take off the head of the rivet, not drill into the actual leveling box itself. That should be enough. You don't need to drill these So you don't need to drill these out. You can easily just attack it with a grinder and level it, flatten any burrs off, and it should just tap down through. But I'm doing it this way because I can. Okay, so here goes. We have transferred to the vise. See if we can punch him down through. Ooh. The rivet's out. No idea where it's gone. Oh, there it is. So here is our removed rivet. Right, the moment of truth. Let's pull it apart and see what the problem is. Okay, so the gear will come off that way. The handle will go back through that way. We might have to tap the handle through. That might be the easiest way to split it. Okay, so handle is out. Shouldn't be anything wrong with this. Oh, there's a bit of wear on there. He's been around a few times. Not enough to make me worry, but yes, it's certainly done some work. Okay, so here is one half of the gear. Pretty greasy in there. It's not dry, that's good. There is a bit of tooth missing on here. That could be our problem. So it should now just have to tap this threaded rod up through, and it should push that plug out. It's one of those four-handed jobs, this one. There he is. So there's the plug out of the end. So you won't quite see it, but the bearing is right in the bottom of there. And here's the other half of our gear. This is all going to need a good clean up before we decide what's fit to go back in. See if we can get that old bearing out. It's coming in pieces. There's a bit more. Right, it's all out. Well, we can certainly say the bearing is gone. All the little rollers have disintegrated. That is what was causing our wobbliness and incorrect meshing of the teeth. Right, next job, we'll go and get everything cleaned up, see what we've got. Right, so we are back from cleaning everything. So what we've done, got all that old grease cleaned off of the gear teeth in there. The gearbox is all nice and clean, and we have also cleaned up the gear that fits onto the handle. So before we cleaned it, we could just see there was a chipped tooth, that one there. Okay, so that is the problem as to why it wasn't turning smoothly. I was hoping it was just going to be the bearing, but that hasn't proved to be the case. So as well as the missing piece of tooth there, these kind of 3 or 4 teeth here, they seem to be damaged. So whether it's had a shock at some point in the past and that's what chipped the tooth off, because I don't think just manually winding a handle is going to chip a tooth like that. Especially when you consider that the other half of it is all in perfect condition. Not even a mark on any of those teeth there. So quite how it got damaged is a mystery that we're never going to solve. So let's not worry about that too much. Yeah, but this piece is now scrapped. So I have ordered a new one. And here it is. You can see it's quite a bit different. So this will be manufactured. These teeth will have been cut with a gear cutter. This one, the teeth, as you can tell, they're much shorter. And they're cast in. Okay, so these haven't been cut. That's just how they come out of the pattern when it was cast. So, different way of doing things, a cheaper way of doing things. But hopefully for what we need, it's going to be okay. We also have our new bearing. So what we need to do is get the camera set up. This should be a fairly quick, a fairly simple job to put all this back together now. So first thing we'll do, find the bearing. Now it does say top on the bearing, so that's useful. So this is a thrust bearing, so it will, the bottom face will be into the bottom of the gearbox, and then the top face will have this, and we'll be carrying that. That will be turning like so. Okay, right. It's probably going to be the easiest way to put it together. And I suspect that is going to be the easiest way to put it together. So we will assemble the bearing to the shaft, put the shaft down into the gearbox, just like that. That has now taken out all the play that we had in here, so that's a good start. We will put in our new gear from the back. You can see down in there. It doesn't mesh. I've got to say, it doesn't mesh quite as nicely as the original. It is a bit more clunky. That's the difference you get between a cast gear tooth and a machined gear tooth. You tell it's a much smoother action in there. Obviously it's all dry at the moment, there's no grease in there, but yeah, that's why in the olden days they machined them rather than cast them in. Anyway, let's not worry about that for now. It's going to do what we need. So all we need to do now is pass the handle through the front and line up our hole. Now, you see down through there? That's where our rivet goes. Now, this new gear did come with a roll pin. Okay, so the new gear did have a roll pin, was supplied to fit it back together, but we took out a rivet. So we're going to put a rivet back in. And here is our new rivet. So this is a 3/16 by 1 inch rivet. We slot it through, got to line the holes up again. There he goes. And you hear that? That's not, again it's dry, but it's not the smoothest of actions, is it? Anyway, we'll go with it. Right, so what we need to do now, we need to close the head of this rivet. That probably is a little bit too much sticking out to make a nice head. There is a formula you have to work out. If you wanted to create an equal dome to that on this end, got a feeling you need to have 1.8 times the rivet diameter past, sticking out of here. That will give you enough material to make a head. We're not worrying about that today. All we need to do is deform this enough that it's not going to fall out. so we're not going to worry about trimming and heating and all that. A rivet would normally be heated to red hot and then form that end much easier, but a rivet of this size in all this cold steel isn't going to retain its heat for long enough to do any good, so we're just going to form it cold. It's not going to be the easiest thing to form this rivet, but we've got a rivet snap. We're going to put that in the vise, balance it all on top, and then just use a hammer, a ball peen hammer, to burr the end over. It'd be nice to have 2 rivet snaps to form it properly, but I don't have 2. So right, here goes. Okay, so here it goes. This is not a particularly easy operation, trying to hold everything, but right, so we've now swelled the rivet enough. It's held in there firmly, but it's not a tidy head yet. So now we'll switch to a slightly smaller hammer. It's a bit tricky to access the end here. There we go, that'll do. It is not pretty, but it's not going to be seen again, and that's how they were. That is basically what we took out. If I can, where's the other end? So this is the old rivet. The end was just beaten over, which is what we've done here. Right, I've come to the decision. I don't like this new part. It's not tight because it's dry. It's tight because it doesn't fit. So I've cut off the head of our new rivet. I'm going to tap it out, put the old one in, put the rivet in, and it can't be any worse than this, can it? Blimey, new bits. Right, let's try the old piece. That's just so smooth, even with a chipped tooth. Hear that? Right, let's put a rivet in. Can't see the line. I can't see to line the hole up. Right, listen to that. That's just, with that, the new bearing, the old chipped tooth is not causing a problem. Right, let's flatten this rivet over and try again. Right, so we have repeated exactly the same process back with the old gear. Look at that. Listen to that, more importantly. Right. Lesson learned. Don't buy cheap new tat. Wasn't even that cheap. Right, I'm happy with that. Before we put the top, so the final thing to do would be to put the cap back in, but we're going to fill it up with grease first to make sure the grease gets everywhere properly. But yeah, I'm amazed how much the difference in a properly cut tooth to a cast-in tooth. Yes, that's disappointing. Anyway, right, grease. Right, so time to get a little bit of grease in there. So we just try and get it in and work it all the way around the gears. Right, that's all around the gears now. What we do, we put the lid on and then pumps them in, and that should fill the bearing up then. So we'll just put the lid back into its little recess, give them a tap around the edges. Oh, not like that. Right, so he's gone in now, and that plug is domed, so if we give a good whack to the centre, that will flatten it a little bit and keep it in there tight. Right, that shouldn't come out. Now we can pump a bit more in. So the one final thing to do, got a bit of a leaky grease gun in there, so we'll put some grease on the thread. Give all that a wipe off in a minute, otherwise that'll be all over everything. And then put our fork up onto there. Screw them in a little bit. And then we'll put some grease into that grease nipple as well. Right, now that we are all greased up, we should be able to screw in. Turn it the right way would go better. Screw right down in. And that, even with that old gear tooth, or even with the old gear with the chipped tooth, because we put the new bearing in that's taken all the slop out of here. No play in there now. We're turning nice and smoothly. Screws right the way in. And right the way out. So we've got grease all around everywhere now, all in the gearbox. It's just oozing out of here a little bit. And here we go, all greased, all put back together. Nice and smooth turning. Right, so there we go, that is our little leveling box project all complete. Just a nice little quick, simple, very, very basic, but it was important to be done. It was unusable as it was before, and now it is good for another 30, 40 years maybe, who knows. Anyway, right, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.